Welcome everyone. What I'd like to take you on a tour of today in this short video is the new features in AWR's new release suite of software, AWR 2011. Let's get started with Microwave Office. I'm only have time to give you a couple of the highlights. Quite frankly, this release of software has more new features than any we have ever attempted before. The graphical user interface has been improved. In particular, you can now float windows if you wish and put them on two different monitors. If you look at the project browser, we've added a number of features that make it easier for you to organize your thoughts and designs. In particular, you can have more than one global definitions window. You can have more than one output equations page if you wish. We've improved quite a bit our concept called group design, and in particular what we can do now is have it much easier when engineers share designs and import projects. And what this does is it reduces your chance of errors, makes it much easier for you to use old designs or portions of those designs. A new important feature in Microwave Office is that of data sets. Data sets allow you to quickly access your old simulation data, and in particular EM simulation. If you look at this slide, you can see we have two data sets here in the project browser. This makes it very easy for the designer to switch between old and new data, and for example on a graph to plot old versus new results. The optimizer has been improved in various ways. In particular, it's easier to visualize how the variables are changing and how the cost functions are changing. Yield has been improved. Again, much easier to visualize various things. You can see here on the right of this slide that we now have more distributions. When you set up the yield analysis, you can also find out various parameter values in case something fails. And again, I remind you, all the data is stored in a data set, so you can get back and access it later. One of our add-ons is iFilter, and we've improved iFilter with iMatch. And what iMatch is it's a matching network synthesis tool. So if you have an unmatched load, it makes a simple little matching section that you can then go ahead and modify, giving you an excellent starting point in your designs. Let's go to some of the layout features. One of the new layout features we're very excited about is the connectivity checker. And what you can see in this slide is you have your various nets laid out. The problem is those nets could maybe be shorted. They could be open depending on what metal touches them. The connectivity checker will automatically check for that very quickly as you're laying the circuit out and flag errors if you happen to have a short or an open. If you've ever worked in our layout and tried to set up a layout setup with the various layers, etc., it can be somewhat awkward and involved. So we have created a user interface to help you, a wizard. You can see a picture of it here, making it very easy. You get a pictorial representation of the various layers as you set up your layers, vias, etc. I'd now like to move on to EM simulation, and in particular I'd like to talk about some new features in Axiom, our state-of-the-art EM planar simulator. Let's start with simulation itself. I've already mentioned data sets. Much easier to store old data sets and then use them to compare different data sets with each other. Asynchronous simulation is a very important concept new in version 10. What this does is it allows you to continue to work in your Microwave Office project while Axiom is simulating. Furthermore, you can easily now suspend and restart Axiom simulations. And if you have enough licensing power, you can even run multiple Axiom jobs on different computers. If we move on to new layout features in EM, one of the most important is shape preprocessing. For you mimic designers out there, if you look at this capacitor on the left, it has several layers and a lot of detail. When we send it to EM, most of that detail will not change the electromagnetic simulation. Unfortunately, it creates a lot of meshes. In shape preprocessing, we simplify the shapes, fewer meshes, and you're going to get virtually the same EM result. In the new version of the software, we have enhanced this capability quite a bit. We now have the capability of having you, the designer, write your own shape preprocessing rules, and these rules can even be included in libraries and PDKs, so they're available for you automatically. Electromagnetics is increasingly being used when we run yield and optimization simulations. The reason being that EM simulators are getting fast enough that it makes sense to do so. Well, if you're going to use EM in your optimization loop, you need a parameter to control the layout, and this is what we have added to the new release of the software, is parametric control of EM layout. So let's take a look at that in more detail. On your right, you see an EM layout in Axiom with 3 ports. It's a T-junction. You also notice that there are a number of equations, and what these equations are doing is allowing shapes to add and subtract to another in Boolean way. And with that, you can actually make things like the notch that you see on the lower right of this slide. The various equations have parameters in them. In this case, we have these 3 widths that you see here. And so as we vary the widths, the layout changes. And this is what allows us to go ahead and, for example, make a complete model database of our notch T, which you can then use. You also then could go ahead and optimize or even carry out yield analysis on these types of shapes. The Axiom engine itself has been improved in a number of ways. We have improved de-embedding. I won't go into the details of this other than to say you now have the strip line port can attach to both the top and bottom grounds, an improvement that many people have been asking for. You can also work with frequency dependent materials. It's now possible to do this in Axiom. And finally, although I don't show it here in the slides, we have improved meshing quite a bit in the EM simulators. I'd now like to move on to our VSS system simulator. We've added a number of really exciting features to VSS. Let me just give you a few of the highlights. Let's start with radar models. We now actually have a number of signal processing blocks besides just the RF components. So you can actually, for example, look at antenna models, which even can take a gain pattern, or channel models, target models. We have various radar signal generators in the software, and if you want to, you can even use LabVIEW, which now talks with VSS, to generate your own custom signal generators. One of the features we're very excited about is the new envelope co-simulation capability. What this does is it uses actually time domain simulation to simulate things at the device level. So for example, a pin diode. Then you can use those devices at the system level without having to create a behavioral model. So it allows device level accuracy, system level performance. Some of the things we can now look at with this new capability are digital pre-distortion, memory effects, and envelope modulation. The RF budget tool has a new optional look and feel, a spreadsheet wizard. For those of you that are used to the old Excel spreadsheets, it'll give you a little bit better look and feel and comfort level as you use the tool. Of course, I do have to emphasize the RF budget tool does a lot more than an Excel spreadsheet. And finally, one of the things we're most excited about is our new VSS LabVIEW integration. VSS and LabVIEW now talk to each other. And for example, you can actually have your sources, custom sources made in LabVIEW. They can then be plugged into VSS. VSS can go ahead and simulate the RF link. Well, I'm out of time, folks. I hope this gave you a little bit of a feel of some of the new features that we're so excited about in our new release of the software, AWR 2011. If you'd like more information, please visit our website, awrcorp.com/2011.